Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing holy, holy, holy. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you.
So this is session 4 of Who's in Charge, and I'm calling this one The Walk. If we go back to the Hebrew people in the desert, they were walking. They were walking in the heat. They were walking along stony and uneven tracks. They weren't able to see far ahead of them because they didn't know what was round the corner. God was wanting to teach them to trust him, not trust their own abilities. They had to trust that God would be with them when they went round the next bend. And this is a picture of how we live our life. It really is a walk with God. In 2 Corinthians 5:7, Paul says, we live by faith, not by sight. But the actual Greek word is walk. It really is we walk by faith and not by sight. Now this walk through life can become difficult at times. It's like being in a desert. Either we're going through a really tough time physically, or we're having a very dry time spiritually and we feel that God is distant and we just feel dry. In that desert place, we think of it as dry and barren, but God provides even in the desert. As the Hebrew people walked along, there was the occasional broom tree, and this broom tree had shade. It wasn't a thick, heavy shade, but it was shade. And it was enough to be able to rest there for a while and get your strength back before going on. And we read in how Abraham's slave lady, by the name of Hagar, was sent out into the desert with her son Ishmael. And we read how she lay her son Ishmael down in the shade of the broom tree. Psalm 121 verse 5 says, the Lord is your shade at your right hand. Shade doesn't have to be thick shade, but just enough to give relief from the heat. Shade at your right hand, and if we stretched out our right hand as far as we can, that's how close God is. He's at our right hand. He's right there for us, and he's ready to provide for us what we need to enable us to go on through the hard time. But he doesn't just provide relief, he also provides our needs. Now in the desert too were acacia trees, and these acacia trees would grow along the side of a dry riverbed or creek bed. Now the creek bed wasn't always dry because every now and again there was rain, and even rain somewhere else up in the mountains all the water would run down the mountains, collect in these creek beds, and rush down as a mighty flood. And these acacia trees weren't silly enough to grow in the middle of the creek bed where they'd get washed away, but they would grow at the side where they could get at the water. And these acacia trees were very useful trees. They provided shade, but they also provided wood for the fire so you could cook. Their sap was used as a sort of healing ointment, and they provided food for animals. So these were very useful trees, giving provisions in the desert. God will always sustain us through the hard times. God led his people through the desert and through the hard times, proving that he was there for them. And that's the promise he has for us. He leads us along a path, and sometimes that path gets jolly hard, but he provides for us. Just when we need it, he will enable us to go on. And through that experience, we learn of his faithfulness and his goodness. Jeremiah 6:16 says, "Stand at the crossroads and look. Ask for the ancient paths. Ask where the good way is and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls." Now that may sound a bit familiar, because Jesus said, "Come to me, all who are burdened, and you will find rest for your souls." What he's really saying there is, I am the ancient path. I am the good way. If you follow me, you will never be left to fend for yourself.